So many stats, you couldn't do anything. Then you also just have the reach of blood spells. You also get to play like Razor Claw. You get to play free Blood Wolves off of Air Jammers. So Vengeance Blood is a much different game plan, even though most Blood archetypes are very aggressive.
Alright, so it looks like we'll be able to see exactly that play out as Blood is the first deck up against Burn Rune. We've seen a ton of Burn Rune today. For new players out there, talk to me a little bit, Exo, as this match gets kicked off. What is Pancake looking to do? How do you play out a Burn Rune deck? And what are your strengths in this matchup?
Sure, so since this is open deck list and Pancake knows Less is running Vengeance Blood and not Bat Blood, I think that Rune is heavily favored, especially Burn Rune, because it does what it does best against a deck that damages itself. So realistically, Pancake is just going to wait until something like a Belphegor gets dropped to drop Less down to 10 himself, and then just start pushing things like Levi, Dance of Deaths, Demonic Strikes to just end the game as quickly as possible as soon as that happens. So in that fashion, I think Pancake actually has a huge edge in this matchup, especially with how he chose to play this matchup with his banned out his opponent's Rune, so it's not good against his Vengeance Blood, while also getting to play his Burn Rune against Vengeance Blood. So we talked about the hand. What do you think?
Usually Vengeance Blood is able to, most decks are held off by Vengeance Blood's turn 5 and 6, but Burn Rune is really, really good at keeping that pressure.
It can literally just go around what Vengeance Blood is trying to do and try to do with stats and just go face with all of its burn. Doesn't have to even worry about the followers as much. And as you can see, he's kind of ramping up. He's got the Piercing Rune, he's got a Dance of Death, he's got a Wizardess to make them cheap if he needs to.
And Belphegor might not even be safe enough for Less to go with this turn. He actually goes for clearing the Dwarf Alchemist with his BKB here instead.
I think if you know Vengeance Blood and its matchups, I think Belphegor might be a card you just don't play in this matchup until you have something like a Diabolic Drain to get some life back. And what Diabolic Drain does is if you're in Vengeance, it only costs 1, normally costs 5. It'll deal 4 damage to a follower and gain you back 2 health.
Exactly. Or when you're able to combo her, your opponent's low on cards, you can combo her with maybe Dark General or Air Jammer just off the bat. Definitely not something you want to just put yourself at 10, because if you do that, Levi comes down, evolves, trades into her, and then you get slapped for 5. So it's not really worth.
Right. And this is kind of like a next level matchup, right? So like, oh, it looks like Pancake's not even caring. He's not waiting at all. What I was gonna say is, usually Rune tries to save its burn until Vengeance becomes active, but if you mind game enough as Vengeance Blood, you could just never do it, and then your opponent's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. But Pancake just opts to go the next level on top of that and says, I don't even care what you're doing, I'm going to play my game plan, I'm going to burn you out regardless, I don't care.
And there, does Belphegor actually not even doing too much to Less anyway? She comes in, draws 2 cards, deals 2 damage to him. Sounds pretty great, since she also evolves over this.
Yep, and then Dance of Death right into this. Very good turn for Pancake. Might even save it. Might just Halo Golem this turn and wait for Wizardess Dance of Death next turn.
He could have. He wasn't in any pressure. He's still at 20 life, so...
And Burn Rune also has the option to turn on that Blood can't play their spells game very fast by getting them to 4 and under, making Razor Claw and Blood Wolves even harder to play. Oh my goodness.
What a top deck.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
It won't be long now.
And Pancake can actually set up a lethal here. If Less does not heal, if he takes any damage.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see some wards here. I think you gotta put the wards have that. But yeah, if he uses this Razor Claw this turn, he's gonna die. Okay, plays a Sabrewer, gains some life back. That's good.
And a Spider Weapon. Probably evolving the Sabrewer here. No, the Imp. Okay.
I like the Imp here. There's no Storm Followers out of runes, so you're not too worried about that. You want to keep this a brewer just to take care of another Master Mage Levi or Big Follower if you can.
Well, there actually is an incredible one, but he knows he's not playing Felice, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. Alright, so this is an empty the hand turn into Halo Golem to set up for Wizardess next turn.
Mm-hmm. Big Knuckle Bodyguard is pretty good here. You can just BKB into Dark General on the 8. You take no damage since you're already in Vengeance. Dark Airjammer could be a consideration because it could possibly pull Spiderweb. If he goes for the Emeralda instead, wow.
This does set up a lethal if this Wizardess doesn't pull anything.
BKB into General was just more stats on board, though. That's interesting.
It is interesting. Let's see what he gets.
He got Master Mage Levi, but it's not good enough yet.
No, it's not. So we've got 4 damage plus 4 damage plus 3 damage. That's lethal. Vengeance Blood's gonna take this one.
You're kidding. No.
Mm-hmm.
That's how flip-floppy this matchup can be. I think if Pancake would have just followed the original game plan of just waiting for Vengeance to deal damage enough to itself, he might have been able to take this one, but he went really aggressive, and Vengeance Blood had the right tools to finish the game.
He got very little effective value off of his burn, since Lest was going to do that damage to himself anyway, or Lest would have just sat there and done nothing for a pretty long time, since you kind of have to do that damage to yourself by playing the cards in this deck, so...
Although, yeah, because most of the cards activate off of Vengeance. If you're not in Vengeance, you're not really getting much value out of your cards, so... Pancake went to the 3rd level. Les was like, you know what, 3rd level was 1 level too many. You should have stayed on the 2nd level of thinking, and then you got punished.
Tried to hopscotch him and thinking, but he hopscotched himself.
That's right. Sometimes that 3rd level is going over the 2nd level of yourself. And that's just one step
Just
too many.
overthunk himself. Feels bad, man.
That's right. Alright, so now Lest has his, or no, I'm sorry, Pancake has his rune deck that needs to win 2 games now. Or am I wrong? What am I saying right now? No, Lest won. So Lest has his shadow deck that gets to run into to 2 decks, right?
Yeah, that needs to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
It's okay. It's fine. I'm sure no one noticed at all.
No one noticed. Chat won't say anything about it, I promise.
Yeah, sure. Chat won't say anything.
Alright, so Shadow, of course, being one of the best decks, being the deck to have to win 1 game out of 2 is in a really good situation for Les. So Les definitely with the advantage of this match.
He does have a bad matchup this round, though.
Yes, he does.
Shadow is kinda bad against Master Mage Levi, and just Burn in general at the moment.
Then again, Vengeance Blood's a pretty bad matchup versus Rune as well, but he managed to take that. So we'll see if he can do it again.
Although that game got kind of stolen, he kind of just...
Yeah.
Fell into it.
Fell into that victory, just like, alright, I have enough now.
Yeah, I just happen to have exact lethal, you know, no big deal.
Okay, so good starting hands from both players here.
Starting the board, yeah. Well, I mean, Pancake's hand is kind of clunky. He's got double taboos chilling over there.
It is clunky, but the Kaleidoscopic Glow is going to give him the tempo back this next turn. Oh, never mind. Just taking the damage out
Actually,
instead.
interesting to see Kaleidoscopic Glow, too. You don't usually see that outside of spell boost decks.
Generally in Rune decks, it's kind of like in there as like a 1 of or a 2 of just for some extra value. It lets you reorder your sigils like we're seeing now. This isn't a reorder, but just it gets them used to cycle. It also on the draw is the only removal spell outside of Red Hot Ritual that can deal with 2-drops. So it's just a nice little like time walk type of effect, like where you get to basically remove what your opponent did, draw a card, and just see what next turn has to offer.
2-mana Time Walk. That sounds familiar.
What is that? What game has that? I don't know what that is.
I don't know. I think it's probably banned.
Yeah. Sorry, magic joke for those of you out there.
Lurching Corpse into Lyrial. Pancake's follow-up is gonna be kind of meh.
Yeah, this is kind of a stinker turn. This might just be a Piercing Rune just to get it out of the hand here. Take out the Lurching Corpse so he doesn't have to deal with it later.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing a follower into it,
especially. He's got a plethora of options next turn. He can go for that. He can go for that Oz if he saves Piercing Rune. Go for Oz Piercing Rune. Play Taboos. Play Master Mage Levi. And go for tons of different things. But this turn sucks.
This turn sucks, but yeah, double Professor and a Master Mage Levi and a Wizardess basically against Shadow means that as we normally see these matchups play out, like Shadow usually has more advantage as far as cards go. But with the hand that Pancake has, he has so many things to just deal with constant boards.
Les getting a bit aggressive here, while also redeveloping a Lurching Corpse is going to be pretty good.
Means Master Mage Levi is going to have a little bit of an issue here. If he wants to play it. It'll clear most of the board except for the 4/4 and kill itself in the process. So he's going to go with the Taboos instead.
Even Taboos could backfire here as well.
This sacrilege will save her.
Taboos could. So what Taboos does and why it's so strong is it's a 3/5, which is pretty unassuming in stats, but it can be evolved into a big 5/7. When any follower on the opponent's side of the board dies, you get a 2/2 zombie, and at the end of the turn, you get to ditch one of your sigils in play to do the effect of kill one of your opponent's followers, which again in turn puts a 2/2 into play. So very good card.
It's also a random enemy follower, so that could have sniped Lurching Corpse.
True.
Wow, looks like
it did not.
Zombie evolved here just for the value.
This is gonna set up an insane Master Mage Levi turn.
He does trade though, since Corpse. I guess Corpse could be killed by one of the zombies first if you want to keep the Levi.
Yep. So I would just go Zombie Face, Levi here, and then hope that the Lurching Corpse pops one of my little zombies.
Yeah, that's probably better. You do get the 4 face is probably just stronger than that.
You're mean. The name's Levi. Don't forget.
That's what he does.
And Corpse hits Master Mage Levi, of course.
Wins the lottery.
Although realistically, like you're never gonna not play Levi there, though. That value was just too much, even if it hits the Levi.
I mean, plus you already have a Professor of Taboos waiting in the wings to clear yet another board, which is probably going to be the play next turn.
Taboos and a Piercing Rune is pretty good.
Yep.
Doesn't have to evolve at all. Oh, he would, yeah, actually. Is the Piercing... No, the Piercing Rune's 2, yeah.
Piercing Rune's 2, yeah.
I'll save my daughter.
Easy turn, easy life.
Taboo's looking really strong this turn. This looks insane.
Yeah. Putting the 2/2s seem quite unassuming, but at this stage of the game, you're talking about pushing lethal with a play like that. And there's not really much that Les can do. Les does have the Lyrial to take out the Professor of Taboos, and he can draw some cards this turn, so we'll see what he gets.
Lyrial can also... It's kind of weird, though, because Lyrial can also kill Taboos, which is a top priority to get off the board. So if you draw first, it makes the Lyrial kind of weird. But I think you still just draw first.
Yeah, just see what your options are, because Lyrial's still going to be the play probably regardless, so... Yeah. And these zombies are going to get some free value, and Les is really out of options. If Pancake decides to clear board here, then Les doesn't really have much to do. He can Demon Eater into Necroassassin to kill a follower. If he top decks something, he might be able to draw cards, but he's really in top deck and save me mode right now. Ooh, Magic Illusionist. I guess not great because he doesn't have any sigils left. Oh no, she will, because all these followers are going to die. So, Magic Illusionist puts back one of the highest cost followers that died this game. If it would have gotten Taboos, killing off all of these skeletons on the opposing side of the board that Les has would have generated even more zombies for the side of Pancake. Now, the downside of Illusionist is the follower gets removed at the beginning of your next turn, but it still gets rushed when it comes back into play and it gets to deal some damage.
Essentially just, when it's bringing back 4/4s, it's a 5 play point rush 4/4 that left a 4/4, pretty similar to Sawquil.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that it's just used for board control and developing a 4/4 at the same time.
Yeah, and in the high rolly scenario of getting Professor of Taboos, can also generate an army.
I can also generate a zombie army. Although he wouldn't have any room for those Zambos anyway. He would be banished right now.
Ooh, Ektar, great draw.
It does only get 3 Zombos, but that's actually enough. You kill the Illusionist.
One of the zombies.
Illusionist, the other Illusionist. Yeah, there's 2 Illusionists
all the
out
Illusionists. Illyriel makes it so easy.
There's an Illusionist and a Magic Illusionist.
That's right.
Great naming scheme. You don't have to kill Levi because, like you said, it'll banish itself at the start of Pancake's turn, regardless of whether or not Illusionist still exists on the board. So it's just a trigger it adds to it.
So now we're down to the nitty gritty. I really feel like if there's a sigil drawn, Illusionist will start the tempo. No sigil though. So maybe Levi into Oz? Yeah.
Watch these illusions.
Nope, going for the Illusionist anyway.
It's for Taboos, so now Oz evolves. Yeah. Oh, he's gonna go for Halo Golem?
It won't be long now.
Hit up all the Illusionists. Okay, saving Oz for that max value, I guess.
What I would have done is played Master Mage, or not Master Mage, but the other Levi and evolved that plus the rush from the Taboos because it's going to die anyway, and just got the Crimson Sorcery value.
But you wouldn't have gotten a Zombo.
Yeah, of course you would have, because the Ektar would have died.
If
you jam the 3/5 Taboos in?
No.
Well, no,
if
you
Taboos
don't.
trades with you don't get a Zombo. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. But you would have gotten the
Taboos
Crimson
not
Sorcery.
To see it. Yeah, you'd have a Fireball. True. That was a gamble too, because I could have sniped Taboos, which would have been a wasted effect. But there's only 10 damage on him.
Yep.
He's staring at dead.
Staring at dead.
He's staring at dead.
Burner doing what it does. Finishing off Shadow as it should.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this matchup plenty of times throughout the entirety of the NGE Open, and almost every time I think we've seen Burnru come out ahead of mid-Shadow.
Yeah, I think we saw either 1 or 2 games of Rune losing, but not because the deck lost, because the player made a mistake. I think in every scenario, had every player been playing optimally, I think Rune would have won 100% of all of its Shadow matchups. The Dirt Burn Rune variant.
The Burt Rune, yeah.
The Burt Rune, that's right.
The Burt Rune, yeah. Dirt Burn Burt Rune. It's a great deck.
Yep, Birdie Dirty. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. It's got that great Shadow matchup.
Alright, so here it is, game 3. Wes versus Pancake. Let's see who can take it home. This is an interesting matchup. Before, Shadow always used to be advantageous versus Vengeance Blood because of cards like Phantom Howl and Cerberus and things like that. But with most of the new Shadow decks, they've been running away from Phantom Howl. A few decks still run them, but a lot of them don't. So Vengeance Blood has a lot more game for Shadow.
And Succubus are both very interesting. But yes, I agree with that. I think less Shadow is going to be kind of a different sort of matchup.
He's going to go for the value game, while Vengeance just going to try to do what it does. Present big boards, try to steal the game. And if you guys notice, Vengeance Blood has more ways to get itself into Vengeance than just Belphegor, especially if they're running cards like Bloodfed Flowerbed, which is an amulet that will deal 4 damage to each player over time as it counts down, while things like Spiderweb Imp 2-play.14 that deals 2 to yourself, Big Knuckle Bodyguard deal 2 to yourself, Kill a Follower, Disagreeable Demon can deal 2 to yourself if your opponent doesn't have any followers in play, or it becomes a 2/3 ward, so plenty of ways to deal damage to yourself in the deck.
Let's have some fun.
Succubus is an interesting one too, since it's another way of dealing damage to yourself.
Succubus is basically
Also closing that
a
gap.
card that works on top of that. Yep. You deal damage to yourself. Succubus says, hey, if you have less health than your opponent, they take 2. So kind of gives you advantage back for dealing damage to yourself.
See you around.
Still nobody.
Les is just kind of stuck.
Either.
This one imp is stuck less on like the back burner for a while here.
I kind of even just like Urias plus another imp to protect the Urias, because Urias is going to get really good value if it can't get removed here.
Right. It's
Urias
not a turn that
being
BKB gets much value. BKB is kind of whatever.
Yeah. And Urias is a 2 play point follower 1/3 that whenever an enemy follower comes into play, they take 1, which is really good against Shadow because they have cards like Bone Chimera, Immortal Thane, as you see in hand, just things that put multiple units in play at the same time.
Blood-fed flower bed, doing its full 8 damage for 1 mana. It's gonna disappear next turn.
You're breathing too loud.
And even though you've seen Blood be advantaged this entire time, look at the scoreboards. This is why Vengeance Blood is one of the harder decks to play, because you really have to understand how to play around with your life total. Because you're essentially doing damage to them, but you're killing yourself at the same time. So
That is true. No vengeance for this turn kind of hurts.
yeah, Dark Age Armor definitely the optimal play, but can't do it.
It's not like BKB is bad or anything. You put yourself in vengeance for next turn, and you also evolve and keep the BKB. So.
What the heck is going on?
But running out of options too. No Belphegor to redraw, no Diabolic Drains to manipulate the life total. So I want to say that Lest is in the driver's seat at
There's
this point,
Phantom Howl.
and is running Phantom Howl. Okay, never mind.
That's huge.
That actually puts
Pancake's at
Pancake
the
on
threshold
this
of an evolved
turn.
Yeah.
I haven't let loose lately.
This is just it if Pancake doesn't put up a ward next turn.
That one didn't count.
He only has a random chance at 1. So.
Yeah, that's right. There's only 1 imp left in the deck.
This is my.
And he got
Does
it.
get it.
You are my treasure.
Does get it. Whew.
He got there.
Hey, check this
Wow.
Doesn't
He's
know how
actually gonna
lucky he is
evolve the
just
blood.
yet. He knows he has to win. He doesn't have time.
No dirtling allowed in Shadowverse.
Nope. Man,
Zombie
that
party
imp.
kind of an
Whew.
awkward draw.
Alright,
Since
so I
Soul
wanna
Squash
say
already kind of
Soul
gets rid of that
Squasher?
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
But then Zombie Party doesn't really have a real target outside of that either, so this is kind of an
Yeah.
awkward turn.
Well, it does if you
Actually,
want
is
to
there a
slap
way to-
Mimi onto it also, but...
They're so fresh.
It's also got an Emeralda coming down next turn. He does slap Mimi onto it. Rutro. Goes for the full clear.
Safe bet. Gotta clear everything. This does take Phantom Howl out of the range of killing in 1 shot, unless that 4/3 remains in play, which we know it won't.
Right. Emeralda will take care of that for sure.
And deal an extra 4 points of damage. Emeralda, one of the strongest new additions to Blood, and a 7 play point 4/5 that kills an enemy follower or amulet when it comes into play, and if you're in Vengeance, also gains Storm. Very strong.
She's pretty good.
Yeah, it's alright.
Definitely
One
not
of those
name
easy ways to deal with
Esmeralda.
Polyphonic War without actually thinking about it.
Yeah. It's a very quick slap down. He is, I guess he's considering... I don't know what he's considering. Disagreeable Demon would gain Ward if he played it right now.
I think he's just basically doing the math of every possible play plus Phantom Howl next turn to see if he can prevent lethal, or if lethal is available to Lest if he just plays out the Emeralda this turn. Because at the moment there's 7 damage. Like if you're basically putting your opponent on the place of they have it
gonna go
because
for
it's
that.
the only way I can lose. Okay.
Gonna go for
Then this does kinda make
Disagreeable
sense.
Demon Pass. Doesn't even play the Blood Wolf out.
Actually, with 4 extra dudes, 3, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's only 7 damage. If he plays the Ektar, that's 6, 7, 8. No, just 6 damage. Okay, so there's no lethal possible this turn.
I mean, however, jamming down Thane and attacking the ward is pretty good.
This disagreeable demon play might have just lost Pancake the game. Like, the Emeralda would have put him into I can win this game position, and this disagreeable demon is basically just saying, I'm going to give my opponent an extra turn to beat me, which you can't really afford to do right now.
I think that was way too conservative of a play when you're playing such an aggressive... I don't know. He must plan to draw something to make that play worth it.
There's not a singular card that he can draw to make that play worth it, though. Like, even a Dark General. Yeah, without an Evolved Warp, there's not a singular card.
Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, Thane's just gonna get jammed. And that's just gonna be too much value, man. Like, that's...
Wish I tried harder.
And now I don't know how Pancake can win this game now with that disagreeable demon play. That's just it.
Can't. Game's over.
Game's over. Pancake just throwing that one away.
You play Emeralda on the Thane. You take 2 from even doing that, and then it's just right there.
Yep, we got Ektar, you got Phantom Howl plus Mimi and or Coco, depending on whatever one's left in hand, and then that's game.
What an interesting play from Pancake, man! I would be so interested to hear why he did that instead of Emeralda.
Because if you consider all of the math options, there's no way for Phantom Howl to kill you with 7 play points with only half of the Mimi Coco in hand. And there's just no way to finish the game out, so basically just threw it away. And I think Pancake realizes that now, and he's just like, man, what did I do?
It's possible. I mean, I think he realizes at this point that he's now dead. He may not be blaming last turn for it. I'm not sure. We don't know. Like, he was clearly on some kind of different play. He saw some different line and decided it was better.
So, no fault to Pancake for taking his time here. He wants to know if there's any way you can possibly stay in this game. We know that that's not possible with what's in left hand.
You just go his face, even though something you can do. Even if you pop one of the whites with the effect and attack a white, you're still just staring down too much damage. So,
and Les takes that one. Get on Lest.
Definitely an interesting way for the game to end.
Now, when we take a look at that game, Lest winning 2-1, I think there's something to be said about the decisions that you have to make when you play an aggro deck.